Chris, I know we don't have you for too long, but you have seen the new Hunger Games movie. And before you go, I was interested to hear your take on it, because it's Rachel Zegler's big role.
Well, I can stick around a little longer, but I'll be brief because there's not much to say about this. Something that people are missing with this movie, I mean, it's the Hunger Games prequel, right? So it's Rachel Zegler's the big star. She's not the main character of the movie. The main character of the film is Snow, as portrayed by Donald Sutherland, in the Hunger Games films. This is his story, how he turns. It's effectively the story of Anakin Skywalker, right? He's this good, virtuous guy who basically helps Rachel Zegler's character. What's her name? Something Gray. So he helps her cheat so she can win, which makes a lot of sense, because I was going to say there's no way she would survive. First of all, she's this tiny, gangly, skinny girl who, if anyone decides to go see this film, she cannot run. She's running, and she looks like a girl who runs and doesn't run all that much. So you're looking, and
you're got the arm flopping thing going on.
Right. They're all over the place. Just sort of running like a girl.
I love the chat. When you said Snow, I thought the same thing. Some of the chat talk about Informer, the rap song.
No, but it's Donald Sutherland's character. This is him as a young man. He helps her cheat in the Hunger Games. He gets exiled to another district. And then, so the movie's kind of broken up into thirds, right? And it's weird because after the middle part, the Hunger Games is over, and does anyone give a shit about spoilers? Does anyone care?
No. Nope. I've seen the first Hunger Games. I don't know, nothing.
The first Hunger Games was fine. I mean, it's a ripoff of a better thing called Battle Royale.
But no, don't you understand? Like, this was the first ever female action star was in the Hunger Games.
That's why I went to see it.
Nothing,
That's why I went to see it. That's why I was.
Did Zegler say this is the first anti-establishment female character? I can't believe this shit. It's worse than parody.
I would love to be an actress today, where just to have no fucking concept of like history or even films, like beyond your own lifetime.
I'm gun in this movie. I'm the first woman to speak in movies. You just be like, how long before they challenge me?
I just don't blame actors for being stupid, because it's sort of a resource management. If this is out of whack this way, they're incredibly beautiful people, right? Physical attributes beyond most of us. Well, then they're not going to be the brightest bulbs in the bunch. That's my expectation. I've never taken a lot of what any actor says very seriously. There's only, a short list of people who really understand the craft. Like, so when Rachel Zegler says something stupid, I'm like, well, that's a Tuesday in Hollywood. Who gives a shit? But she's not the main character of the film. It's the guy who plays Snow. And actually, it's the movie's kind of a mess. The last third of the movie is pretty freaking dark, and I honestly enjoyed the last third. It's just it's weird though, because in the first part of the movie, the men in the film, their formal dress is something that actually looks like a dress. They're wearing a dress, not a kilt, a dress. And it just looks off, but then you see his character evolve. If you took Rachel Zegler out of the movie, one, you would miss her, but two, she's not the main character. It's not her story. She is a catalyst for how Snow's story takes off. So it's, in some ways better than I expected, but it's being marketed incorrectly. It's being marketed as her story, because I don't care about a new Hunger Games movie. I didn't care after the first film. Was like, that's really fine, and I didn't need to see any more. But I don't really have a lot more to say about it, except that last, and of course, as with all movies that are made today, too effing long. It's 2 hours, nearly 2 hours and 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Like, I mean,
is there any anticipation for this movie? Because it's so not on my radar. Like,
no one seems to be fucking talking about it.
Yeah,
they're doing free screenings like The Flash next week. So you can register on a website next, I think it's Wednesday. They're doing fan screenings, and you can see it for free.
This movie just honestly, and maybe it's just because of this fear. I've heard more conversation around Captain Marvel 2 than this, and that's not a positive at all because there's not a lot of conversation for either. But without memeing on Rachel Zegler, I'm not I would have. I am so detached from this franchise. I would have thought Jennifer Lawrence was still in it. That's how detached I am from this shit.
I mean, it's so far removed from the Jennifer Lawrence movies as well. Aren't we talking like almost 10 years since the last one? Like, does anyone even care about the Hunger Games franchise? Is it even relevant at this point?
What's the budget on this one?
No, but they're running out of franchises to ruin. The thing is, what's interesting about it is this is the early Hunger Games when they didn't kind of know what to do. So it's less spectacular. The technology is different. So I found that aspect interesting. And then there's like tons of dumb shit. But it's a CW thing. There's sort of light on the romance, but the best part of the film is this guy who plays Snow, who goes from this virtuous kid in college trying to make a go of it in this dystopian, I'd say, future, except I feel like we're not that far from there. And I was talking to a friend and I was saying, hey, look on the bright side. We can watch World War III on our phones. This is where we're headed with the world. But I think I brought the chat down with that one. But yeah, it's going to tank. I think that doing the free screenings is kind of a desperation move. I don't know. Are there, super fans of that franchise without Jennifer Lawrence? Maybe. But Rachel Zegler, the bad press she's had lately is obviously going to affect it. I don't know if now that and they got a waiver to promote that movie, by the way, and they've been promoting it overseas. But now with the SAG strike over, who knows like how quickly they can pull together any type of promotion. But do you want to be putting Rachel Zegler like in the middle of doing junket interviews? Oh, a fun fact about the Marvels. The people who did the media who were invited to do the junket this past weekend didn't see the movie before they did their interviews. They didn't show them the film. They showed them 20 minutes of scenes from the movie. Then that's like something that generally doesn't happen. You see the film that you're going to be talking about and then interview, the people that are in the movie. So they didn't even get to see the movie. That's how much confidence Disney has in the Marvels. They know it's going to tank. It's going to be how bad. And the conversation we'll be having next week, because we're not going to be talking about this movie much next week because there's not a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the fallout for Marvel. Do they pivot? How hard do they pivot? What do they do? We're not even discussing Jonathan Majors, who faces a year in prison, not just from charges in New York, but there were charges in some other hullabaloo that happened in the UK. You might know more about it than I do if that's been in the papers. But Jonathan Majors will be recast, is my prediction, even if it comes out that he's innocent. So
I think at this point, like Jonathan Majors is like, yeah, he's definitely a problem, but he's like the least of their problems in terms of like the money making potential of the MCU. Like their real problems are just so much more fundamental in that they have run their own franchise into the ground. No one cares about it anymore. Apathy has set in, and that's why people aren't fucking talking even about the Marvels. Like, yeah, people are tuning into this stream to watch us like have a laugh about it and meme on it, but like nobody's interested in really debating it or watching it or anything.
The most of the conversation about the plot line has just been had. The rest is just going to be about the state of Marvel, the meta surrounding the film, things that Brie Larson may or may not say, her career, and what this means going forward. That's what everyone's interested in now. It's the story of the MCU, not the story in the MCU films.
Absolutely. And I mean, dude, it's gotten so bad because there are some good things out there with TV and movies. They're not usually big tentpole films, but people have lost faith in almost anything that is a big announcement from Hollywood. Like the other day when the live action Legend of Zelda was announced, and as soon as I, started talking about it, people were like, oh, it's got to be a woman as Link. And I'm like, good Lord, man. We don't trust anything anymore because Hollywood is not giving us a reason to, because they've just ruined everything. I don't think that's going to happen with The Legend of Zelda by any means, but the point still stands that people have lost trust in so many things. And it's because things like Marvel, DC, and Star Wars have led that kind of fan perception of things, and they've all been destroyed for different reasons, but they've all are heading to the same place, which is the bottom of the barrel.